Madam Speaker, we know that parents across Fiji want more for the children than they had for themselves. More opportunity, more prosperity, and particularly they want them to inherit a Fiji that is safer and more secure. Right now, the worsening impacts of climate change are putting all of that at serious risk. Our environment, our economy, and our secure future are all under siege from the disastrous climate impacts, the rising seas, the changing weather patterns, and the tropical cyclones that are ravaging our country. Madam Speaker, we cannot budget the exact amounts that cyclones will cost us each year, but we are blessed, Madam Speaker, that we have an economy that has been strong enough to support affected Fijians in the aftermath of these storms, in particular in the immediate aftermath. This year, we were able to immediately activate Care for Fiji program after the back-to-back arrivals of TCs Josie and Keni, a comprehensive relief package aimed at assisting Fijians badly affected by the storms. To date, Madam Speaker, we've disbursed $123 million in assisting around 100,000 Fijian families through homes care, farms care, eTransport-CARE, welfare care, Sugarcane-CARE and Leaseholders-CARE. Care for Fiji, Madam Speaker, help for homes and the massive rebuild we took following Cyclone Winston have all accomplished tremendous good. But we cannot remain stuck in a dangerous cycle of having to put up massive rehabilitation bills year after year. It is not sustainable. And if we don't take action immediately, it is our children and their children who will have to deal with the consequences. Madam Speaker, in total, the direct cost to government and the Fijian people from TC Winston was Fijian $1 billion in damages. That is a huge amount, and that is not a cost Fiji can afford to pay in and year out. That is why, abroad, as we continue in our presidency of COP23, our Honourable Prime Minister has remained steadfast in our campaign to rally the world to more ambitious climate action through the Talanoa Dialogue and seek the full implementation of the Paris Agreement on climate change. Because no matter how much we reduce our own carbon footprint, our secure future depends entirely on the commitment and actions of the rest of the world. So we cannot relent on the global stage, and we thank the Honourable Prime Minister for the tremendous work he has done to unite the world in this important campaign. Our presidency and his leadership are historic achievements so far, and will continue to demand more action on climate change all the way up to a handover of the COP presidency to Poland this December and beyond. Our climate advocacy will continue through our chairmanship of the Small States Forum, a special grouping of states within the World Bank, which we have been tasked with leading because we have been at the forefront of opening up concessional financing for climate vulnerable countries. And during our hosting of the Asian Development Bank annual meeting next year, really, Madam Speaker, Fiji is fast becoming a place where international and regional businesses get done. We will also be welcoming the World Exchange Congress to Fiji in 2020. Because of our Honourable Prime Minister, Madam Speaker, and his efforts, we are in a strong position to negotiate with the ADB and the World Bank to access financing mechanisms that can be activated following serious natural disasters, not only in the form of concessional loans, but in a trigger-based immediate grant assistance, as we are seeking to move away from an income-based financing system towards a system that responds more effectively to those nations most vulnerable to climate change, like Fiji. Madam Speaker, we are working to develop new insurance products to open up immediate flows of grant assistance to Fiji and affected Fijians in the aftermath of severe weather events. These products are enormously complex. We have already begun working closely with the World Bank, who is currently modelling a parametric insurance program in Fiji. That program would mean that in the aftermath of a serious storm, if a home is lost, immediate funds can be paid out to affected Fijians. And we are also looking to apply the model to crop insurance in Fiji. For both home and crop insurance in Fiji, we have allocated $1.4 million to cover the initial development costs and premiums once the scheme rolls out. I would like to take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to thank IFC for helping us move on this important program forward. Here at home, Madam Speaker, government is aggressively investing in our national infrastructure to protect Fijian families from the devastation of changing climate. Because while Fiji may be extremely vulnerable to rising seas and strengthening storms, the vulnerable label doesn't limit our ambition. We still have our eyes firmly set on building Fiji into the nation we all believe we are capable of becoming. This year, government will spend $650 million on climate adaptation and mitigation efforts. From stronger schools to seawalls, from sustainable energy to flood-resistant waterways, we are going all out to ensure the Fijian economy is engineered to weather any storm. Madam Speaker, we published a breakdown of how your Environment and Climate Adaptation Levy, or ECAL, has been working for Fiji. It is essentially reading for every Fijian. It shows we have collected $110.6 million and $106 million had already been used to fund new cyclone-resistant schools, new bridges, solar home systems, cane access roads, an agricultural loan to farmers, among other programs that are preserving our environment and protecting Fijians from climate impacts. And the ink is barely dry on the freshly signed MOU, Madam Speaker, between Energy Fiji Limited and Accor Energy, a leading renewable energy producer from France, which establishes a joint venture aimed at vastly expanding solar power generation in Fiji, bringing electricity to Fijians living in some of our most remote and maritime areas who would otherwise be unreachable to EFL's grid. And there's very good news for tens of thousands of Fijians, Madam Speaker, who have recently become shareholders in EFL. Because when EFL does well now, so do they. Last year, we introduced a 10-cent levy on plastic bags. Plastic usage has gone down, but we know we can do better. So we increased the levy to 20 cents this year. And we're working towards a complete ban of single-use plastic bags in Fiji by 2020. This will give everybody 2 years to phase out from uses of plastic. We're going to work to create more awareness in Fijian communities on the dangers of plastic pollution and on the alternatives for the next 2 years to give every Fijian business enough time to prepare for this transition. Madam Speaker, Fiji will be introducing a new Euro 5 fuel standard in the new year that will reduce greenhouse emissions in Fiji, make for cleaner driving and fewer maintenance checkup for vehicles, and lower the fuel bill for drivers on the road in Fiji. We've been speaking with fuel companies on this transition during our Honourable Prime Minister's COP23 responsibilities. It's an important step in our campaign to reduce our own emissions, and it shows the rest of the world how a small island nation is fully capable of embracing and adopting greener, more modern and more efficient technologies. Madam Speaker, it is in this government has brought about Fiji's zero-tolerance policy for any development that damages the overall health of our natural environment. And we're streamlining our unprecedented environmental initiative this year by combining the Ministry of Waterways and the Department of Environment to form a new ministry, the Ministry of Waterways and Environment, which is being funded at $70 million. We made this move because waterways are part of our natural environment. Projects that manage our network of waterways are by definition environmental projects. So taking these functions under the same umbrella will make funding projects easier and get projects completed more quickly. Anyone who lived through TC Josie and TC Keni, who has watched their own town or their community be submerged due to heavy rains, knows how critical that work is. We've given $43.6 million to protect Fijian communities and families from water inundation by improving drainage systems within towns and cities, maintaining municipal council drainage systems, and constructing seawalls, drone and wave breakwaters, for villages and communities faced with the threat of coastal erosion. We're rolling out new programs as well, including the construction of drainage on farmland and expanding drainage infrastructure in rural residential communities. On the margins of COP23, we began discussions with the German government to bring in expertise to take a hard look at the way we're managing watershed infrastructure and give their recommendations. This year, the German Development Corporation will send a technical assistance team to Fiji with a mission to identify suitable climate adaptation activities in the water sector that are in line with national climate, watershed and waterway strategies. And those recommendations, Madam Speaker, will also highlight opportunities for the mobilization of climate finance into Fiji. We will undertake another round of surveys for Nandi River project, which is designed to alleviate the worsening flooding in Nandi town, to update the master plan, the project's development based on new river patterns, siltation and changing rainfall. We've also brought new partners on the board to get this project done, with the European Investment Bank, the Asian Development Bank, joining alongside the Japanese government. Once we complete this latest survey, the Japanese government is committed to fund the most immediate and pressing work that can be undertaken to lessen the risk of serious flooding in the Nandi town area. Then the ADB, EIB and Japanese government will together fund the completion of the project in partnership with the Fijian government. Madam Speaker, we're also taking major strides to clean up Fiji, because as a nation, as a society, frankly, we need to do a lot better. We've allocated $1 million to standardize rubbish bins across the country, first starting in Nasinu. This won't only look better, it will make crystal clear in every Fijian community exactly where the rubbish ought to be put, not in the streets, not in our rivers, but in the rubbish bin. Madam Speaker, we've allocated $1.5 million towards the collection of rubbish by government. In our major urban centres, rubbish is choking roadways and communities, and it's unacceptable. And we'll now be increasing rubbish pickups every day from Monday through Friday, first starting in Nasinu. We'll also be introducing a new pilot program in Nasinu to distribute compost bins where Fijians can dispose of organic waste like leaves and kitchen waste. So we'll actually be creating compost from that waste for productive use. We've moved the rural and local authority from the Ministry of Health to the Ministry of Local Governments, because non-health functions ought to be under the ambit of local government. It's the right ministry that makes the most sense for inspecting and approving new developments. This will also bring rubbish cleanup under the Ministry of Local Government, because this again is a local governance and development issue. Direct health aspects will remain with the Ministry of Health. Madam Speaker, we're also launching a new national competition across Fiji to clean up Fijian communities through the Clean Community Competition, bringing a sense of pride and achievement to Fijian communities who go the extra mile to keep their homes, community areas and streets clean by judging and rewarding which communities are the tidiest and are kept the cleanest. Madam Speaker, maintaining a clean environment isn't a job that any one of us can go alone. It will require societal change and mindset from all of us to think about our actions and consider the consequences. And we're going to be working with companies in Fiji to adopt stretches of roads in Fiji to help clean them up. It's a great way for companies to give back to the Fijian community who support businesses here in our country by doing their part in keeping Fiji clean and beautiful and protecting our natural environment. Madam Speaker,